Left are becoming increasingly desperate and resorting to some ugly tactics. That's evident in the media too, with far-left site Crikey publishing this bit of slander against Liberal leader Peter Dutton. They've concluded that he is racist, and this is their evidence, brace yourselves. The number one reason he walked out of Parliament rather than hear the then Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd, apologise to the so-called stolen generations. He did mention the problem of rising African gang violence in Melbourne. He pointed out the need to counter Chinese aggression to keep peace in our region. And of course, most recently, he called for a pause on visas for Gazans until thorough checks could be conducted. Joining me now is former Speaker of the House and Liberal National MP for Fisher, Andrew Wallace. Andrew, what is your response to your leader being labelled racist?
Well, you can always count on the left, Rita, to pull out the racist card when they're in strife. And boy, are they in strife. Now, look, I've known Peter for a long time. He's been a police officer for 9 years. He's been the immigration minister, the home affairs minister. He has had some tough portfolios, and now he's in his toughest portfolio as the leader of the opposition. But I can tell you now, and I can tell your viewers, that you will not find a man who is more committed to the safety and security of Australians than Peter Dutton. And look, when you've seen everything that's gone on with Andrew Giles as the immigration minister and how poorly the Labor Party are conducting themselves from a national security perspective, what do you want? Do you want someone like Andrew Giles looking after the country from an immigration perspective, or do you want someone like Peter Dutton calling the shots? I know which I'd rather.
Do you think you should consider legal action here to be labelled a racist so blatantly by a publication? It goes beyond just the sort of criticism politicians expect to get from the media.
Well, Rita, I've been a barrister for over 20 years, and my first advice to anybody that is considering legal action is don't. No one wins when you go down that route. It becomes a win for lawyers and lawyers only. So, if Peter was to ask me my views, I'd say no. But of course, it's a matter for Peter. But this is not the first time we've heard Peter, labelled as that. We heard the member for Warringah in the Parliament recently.
Yes.
This is someone who has stood on a platform of integrity. And when someone is really struggling politically when they pull the racist card.
Absolutely, and that was quite a bizarre performance from Zali Steggall, because she withdrew the comment in Parliament, then came on Sky News and repeated it. Now, let's move along to the federal government planning to introduce a social media ban for children nationwide within the next 12 months. The age limit has not yet been determined. The Prime Minister is following South Australia's lead here. They are proposing a ban for those aged 13 and under. But Andrew, how will this be enforced? How will this age verification work? It doesn't work on porn sites. How's it going to work with social media sites?
Well, Rita, let me correct you on something there. Anthony Albanese has been dragged kicking and screaming on his ultimate position in relation to social media bans. In June of this year, Peter Dutton came out very strongly and said that a Dutton-elected government would ensure that we had a minimum of 16 years of age for social media, and we would do that in the first 100 days. Now, it's really interesting that Peter Malinauskas came out yesterday and gave a watered-down version of that. But what it did, it made Anthony Albanese look absolutely impotent, because he was the one that stood up the select committee on which I'm on, which is examining this very issue. So we are still processing and having evidence before us. And because Peter Malinauskas came out and said what he said yesterday, Albos jumped out and in a half-baked measure felt that he really needed to make a stand on this. But he still can't say what age group this will apply to. Well, the coalition has been very strong on this. Peter Dutton has led the way on this from as early as June this year, saying that we would mandate a minimum age of 16. What parents are telling me is that they need that legal protection because I don't know if you're a parent, Rita, but certainly I've had 4 daughters, and kids will always use Mary's mum and dad let her, why won't you let me line? We've all experienced it.
Yes, there's always the peer pressure. Andrew Wallace, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Rita.